Hello and welcome to our special program, Discovering Confucius. I'm Tian. They say it's not what you look at that matters, it's what you see. The wisdom of Confucius is nothing like any ordinary philosopher, but profound in the way that he and his disciples managed to create a holistic approach to humans' relationship with fellow humans, the broader society, and the nature. That's why many from around the world gather every year in Qufu, the birthplace of Confucius, for Nishan International Forum. That's also why David Bartosch, a German philosopher who now lives and works in China, becomes fascinated with Confucius and Confucianism while looking into other towering cultural figures in China's history. My latest interview with him for the Discovering Confucius interview series.
Yeah, I think what Confucius did is he provided seeds, so to speak, intellectual seeds, which have to be unfolded by everyone who studies his works.
You argue Confucius is like a nexus in China's history. What exactly do you mean?
Yeah, I think Confucius, in terms of time span, if we say Chinese civilization has 5,000 years of history, he is kind of in the middle, right? He lived around 2,500 years ago. He also managed to synthesize so many elements, and he kind of absorbed so much information and provided. He chose the useful elements. Those elements he found most fitting for providing foundations for future civilization.
How would you be able to identify him?
Approximately at the same time, in many civilizations, you see founding fathers, so to speak, philosophers appear in ancient Greece and ancient Iran and ancient India. And in China, Confucius, nevertheless, somehow to me, he sticks out because his influence, his impact has been so immense. The impact on East Asian civilization as a whole, not just China, also Japan and Korea, but even on an international level, right? So I'm a German person, so our philosophy, our German-speaking philosophy, somehow started in the context with thinkers like Leibniz or Christian Wolff studying translations of the Analects.
How was he unique among his generation, both internationally and also if you look at the Warring States period of time, there is a whole generation of great thinkers and philosophers emerged just within 100 and 200 years.
He tried to reconstruct something, but not in a repetitive way, but in a way where he was creatively developing this tradition in a way that was on a pair with the historical developments of his time. This is one aspect. And the second aspect is, I think he is kind of I would say an enlightenment thinker, right? So he was he was also fighting superstition, we could say. He was a philosopher in a true sense, right? There's in Analects, there's this one quote where he is asking himself, do I know? And then he's answering himself right away, I don't know. And this is actually the starting point. This knowing, non-knowing is the starting point of philosophy as such. As soon as I accept that I don't know, I start to truly reason.
You also argue, David, that he is like a cultural seed. If you look at China's civilization, what exactly you meant?
Yeah, I think what Confucius did is he provided seeds, so to speak, intellectual seeds, which have to be unfolded by everyone who studies his works. We have to unfold them by ourselves. So there are, for example, in the Analects, Lunyu, we find very short dialogues of Confucius with his students, remarks, aphorisms, and they are not fully grown theories. They are like seeds And we have to think through, we can apply these thoughts and these aphorisms in our daily life, in our own situations in terms of civilization. Imagine something happens, a dynasty comes to an end, there's a crash of civilization. However, people are always able to regrow their civilization. They can just use these seeds and they will grow the blueprint of Chinese civilization again in a new form, on a new field. And even on an international scale, we can learn, as I said, we can learn from these seeds. We can also, you can be from another place, from another, you have another civilizational background, but you can study it and it makes sense.
But what you have just said that could work for any quotes coming from philosophical giants, literature personalities throughout history, that people are, trying to apply what they have learned or what they heard into their own lives and into, come into understanding of what they are facing. Is there anything unique about that?
Of course, we have also aphoristic thinkers like Heraclitus of Ephesus or Nietzsche, for example, in Europe. But usually there are theories. There are full-grown theories, very big volumes, books that you have to study, and it's very detailed. So, for example, Plato or Aristotle, they tell you in a very detailed way what they mean. And Confucius is not such a theoretical thinker. He wants you to unfold these thoughts in your own way, in your own life, and to come to your own conclusions. He doesn't present you with a fixed theory. And I think this is the secret. This is how this tradition became so immense, how it became so powerful, right? Because it's seeding the ideas into the lives of people directly, which is very different from providing a very few hundred pages volume.
Yeah. What about the relevancy of Confucius and Confucianism today?
I would say, first of all, of course, if we look at Chinese history, Confucian lore, particular Confucian traditions, there are so many, it's not just one monolithic block, they did not always prevail, right? There were also certain centuries when Confucian tradition was not in the center or even not forgotten, but was not very influential. So there always have been these ups and downs, but the fascinating thing is that Confucian lore always re-emerged and always provided a kind of a foundation to fuse and absorb other elements which had found their way into Chinese civilization, and to see also these new angles and new elements from this traditional perspective. Yeah. So it's like a growing tree, right? There are the roots to the very ancient past, but the tree is still growing and even growing today. And I think every tradition in the world has their advantages and disadvantages. And today we have to think what of the Confucian lore is useful for us, for modernity? How can it help us, for example, maybe to balance ecological problems, or to counterbalance the problems that are created by us by the advancements of modern technologies, right? What does modern technology do to us, to our consciousness, and how can we maybe balance ourselves?
Thank you so much, David Bartosch. Really appreciate it.